Hello and welcome to this video, which is going to be about all the gear to take for an ultramarathon or shorter ultramarathon, your kind of 50-60 kilometer run. So if you're thinking of doing one, if you're interested in what gear it's going to be, or if you've run them and you're just looking at how else you could do it or what else you could take, then this is the video for you. And if you're new to the channel, please think about hitting subscribe, helping me grow the channel a bit bigger, and hitting like if you like what you see. But most importantly, please put some comments in below. What would you have taken? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's get stuck in. So I'm going to break this video down into 3 sections, mainly clothing, nutrition, and finally all the other bits of gear that go with that. So let's get stuck into section 1. So basic clothing is very simple and a personal choice, but I'll run through mine. Let me know in the comments what you would go for. So in terms of t-shirt, this is the Sustainability from Feel Run. It was super comfortable, it felt great, no issues there. And also knowing that it was a very sustainable t-shirt, 50% bamboo, 50% plastic recovered from the ocean, is a nice touch as well. Made me feel good to wear it. In terms of shorts, these are Everdicts, so the home brand from Decathlon. They were the first pair of trail shorts I ever bought, and still the only pair of dedicated trail shoes I've ever actually tried. But I don't see the need to buy any new ones. They do the job perfectly well, and they've got a huge number of pockets around the belt for just sticking everything. So that was where I carried gels, although I didn't have many of those, dates, tailwind, and a few other bits and pieces as well. If I was going to go for a longer distance, they would have been great. The key one though is shoes. So I'm going to break that down next. The most important thing to get right for a long run, marathon of course, but anything bigger especially, is footwear. Number one thing to spend all your time getting right. And I did get it right. I had absolutely no complaints, no blisters, no discomfort, no issues, no grip issues. And I went with the Speed Goat 4 from Hoka One One, which were fantastic shoes. It was super muddy and super rocky, great. They're more padded than I used to use shoes, so I felt comfortable despite being 60 kilometers into the run. They cope with the sand, they cope with the rocks, they cope with the uphills and the downhills. But it did take me a while to nail this. I had to go up half a size, even on trail shoes. First time I tried them, I went for the US 11, and my toes were just so sore on steep downhills, and I knew they wouldn't last for 60k. So I went up a bigger size, but I felt like my foot was swimming around in it. And again, I was like, oh, okay, maybe Speedgoat not for me. But when I combined it with the Stygian socks, and these socks have a little rubbery grips on the sole. Probably can't see that, but hey. They got little rubbery grips on the sole, which means that your foot doesn't slide around as much. So the combination of the Stygian socks combined with the Speedgoat 4s was perfection for this trail. All right, so nutrition, such a big topic here, okay. Possibly the most important thing on a 50k or a short ultramarathon, because it's not that long, but it's long enough that you're going to need to get your fueling right. So my aim was to go with mostly homemade and natural food, and to try and avoid plastic waste as much as possible, which I did a big improvement on from before. So first step was some pancakes, which I put up here. Obviously they're eaten now, so I don't have them to show you. But I took 3 vegan oat pancakes, which I'd made beforehand, before we traveled out to Yaoyai. And they were great. I had one at first 3 aid stations. And I think that solid fuel, one, it slowed me down a little bit, which was a good thing for pacing, eating something solid. And 2, I felt full, I didn't feel hungry until later in the race, which was perfection. Second step, I kept in one of my pockets, was dates. So I took 9 dates, and they basically became my energy for supplementing the pancakes for the first 4 aid stations. I took 9, I ran out. I actually could have eaten more. I had originally thought that after 9 I might be sick of the taste, but as it was, they were a much needed and nice little energy boost, just at the right time. And I'd hoped that maybe with that and Tailwind, which I don't have to show because I've used it now, I had 2 sachets of Tailwind, 1 caffeinated and 1 not caffeinated. And I went for 1 bottle, 500ml bottle of Tailwind every aid station, which was half a sachet. So half a sachet in every aid station from 3 AM. So that was from the 3rd aid station on, so for the next 4. And I went for the caffeine first because it was 3 in the morning. Caffeine seemed like a good idea. So yeah, pancakes for the first 3 aid stations, Tailwind for the next 4 aid stations, which was the total number of aid stations there were, or sections that there were, supplemented with dates and watermelon from the aid stations. I'd hoped that would be enough, but I think maybe running through the entire night had me a bit more depleted. So I ended up using 1 gel, and I had a couple of the Bolt backup ones. I quite like them. They taste a little bit like Coca-Cola, which is my go-to. And I also had 1 Cliff double caffeine, a double espresso shot gel, which I took going up the last hill with 11k to go, just as a final boost. So in my opinion, the most important things to get right in a 50k or a shorter distance ultramarathon are your footwear, your nutrition, followed by your bag. And if there's great loads of aid stations, maybe you don't need one. But for me, this bag has been awesome. So this bag is the Kalas 5 litres, and it features this BOA system, which I think is awesome. I will go through precisely why that is so useful in just one moment. But first up, I bought this bag just before UTMB Thailand in December last year, and breaking that rule of buying something just before a race because I hadn't found anything else that worked for me yet. I'd just been trialing out a few friends' bags because I knew the one I had would not cut it with too much chafing around the neck. So it's a great fit for me. Obviously, you've got to find the one that fits for you. So first up, 5 litres isn't huge, but I can fit in everything I need. We're going to break that down in just a moment of what's in the pack. But for now, let's have a quick talk about the bag itself. When I bought it, these were my initial thoughts on UTMB. So far going well. Bag is amazing. Not regretting that decision at all. And now I've been using the bag for 6 months, so I have a bit better theory on it, and I love it even more. I love it precisely because it fits me so well and stays so stable while I'm running. The water bottles cinch in really nicely with these ties, and they stay more still and less bother than any other bag I've tried. But the main thing is the BOA system. I know it's not unique for Kalas, but it would now be the first thing I look for in a bag. The fit is perfect, but it does offer me the ability to just unclip and loosen the bag up when I'm going on long, slow, technical uphills. And it just cooled me down a little bit and made me a bit more comfortable. And then you tap it back in and tighten up, and you're good to go on a faster downhill. Everything fits in, everything's accessible. I can reach the pockets quite easily, and I'm not the most flexible of people. For me, perfect. But take the time to find the one you want. Trying out a few friends' bags is a great way to do it, which is how I ended up with this bag. So the Sunto 9 Barrow was the watch I have, and it was awesome. The mapping system was great, and the battery life was awesome. It was over 10 hours of activity, and I still had over 40% battery life left, despite having used the navigation tool for almost the entire race. I only turned it on after I started being alone, maybe after about 11-12k in. No worries with that watch at all. Other things then, so let's break through the pack. What have we got? So, first off, for hydration, we had to take 1.5 litres. So I've got 2 500ml flasks here, and then in the back of my pack, Now we'll see how flexible I am. I carried a third bottle. Now I've got it empty now because this was how it was for the majority of the race. After a little while I realised that the aid stations were close enough and there were a few extra water stops as well, and I did not need to carry 1.5 litres, so I ditched that extra 500 ml to save a little bit of weight. And I was going with tailwind in here and water in here from the third aid station on for the next 4 sections of that, which worked absolutely fine. In this pocket here I carried some of these, so salt tablets. I had to take one every 2 hours, and that nice little pocket there just kept them easy. This pocket here features the GoPro, which of course wasn't that useful being a nighttime one, but there was sunrise and there were some points. So if you haven't already, please do check out the race video shot on the GoPro Hero 8. I carried a few spare batteries in a pocket as well, in a waterproof bag. This pocket was for gels, and this pocket for some gloves. So the only gloves I had lying around, because this is Thailand and it's hot, were my cycling gloves, but they did the trick. I didn't think I was going to take them. I thought that was just for I didn't think I was going to use them. I thought this was just going to be for the mandatory gear, but as it was, I used them on 2 of the climbs and 1 of the descents, because they were just so technical and you were climbing on rocks, grabbing onto trees and pulling my way up, and there were a lot of spiky brambles as well. I think it was worth taking. What have we got in here then? So, personal cup, again mandatory equipment. I personally didn't see the need for this one when we had the bottles to drink from, so I could drink from those. This remained unused but was just taken. So let's get stuck into what was in the pack. Most of this was mandatory gear, and some of that was useful, some of it less so. Okay, so we'll run through the bottom pouch first, which is where I put more secure things because it does have a lock. So first one was a third bottle. We already talked about that. Next up, I took some Aftershock headphones. I never race with headphones, but I figured that since I'd be racing for the entire night, and I had a vague feeling that I would end up alone in this race, I thought they might be useful. Didn't actually use them once. There was never a point where I was not engaged with what I was doing, despite being 10 and a bit hours. But maybe that is more down to what you do normally, and normally I don't run and definitely don't race without them. So first aid kit and emergency blanket. This pack has been around with me a lot. Actually has an emergency cramp gel in there. What else have I got? Some plasters, blister plasters, ibuprofen, and of course a spare hair bobble just in case. Kind of useful. Well, not used thankfully, but always needed to be there. I would not take that. Head torches. So this is a Decathlon head torch that I used for the first 4 hours. It's USB powered, which I like for the rechargeable bit. However, it meant that I couldn't recharge it and had to switch to my second head torch, which I could not find when we came back from Yao Yai. And if you watch my race video, you'll work out that that one didn't go so well. And also in this are some batteries. Now, you'll notice a nice big difference in size between those batteries. Apparently I didn't notice that when packing and took these instead of these, which is why the head torch situation didn't work so well. Like I said in the video and at the time, I hope that's one of those mistakes you make once in your life. All right, in the main pouch were the 2 useful reachable things. So kayak bag for my phone to keep it fully waterproof. When it rains here, it rains. I sweat a lot. And I also pour water over my head at every aid station just to cool down and to refresh and to keep awake at 3 or 4 in the morning. So I always go with a kayak bag for those sort of things. And then all the rest of my gear fitted into another kayak bag inside the bag itself. So this just keeps things a little bit dry and ordered. We have a raincoat. So this is the Kailas raincoat, loaned to me by Eric. Thank you, Eric. Mandatory gear, and obviously you've got to take a coat to stay warm. It wasn't used. it was nice and light as well. So can't complain about that. Mandatory gear included reflective tabs, but we were never actually told when to wear it. So this one just stayed in the bag. But you got to get those reflective gear. I have a buff from Trailrunning. This was for COVID protocol at the start of the race, and I took it just in case I needed anything later on. It stayed in the bag as well. And finally, the last piece of kit I took, which were a last minute addition, were some calf socks, compression socks, because in the race briefing we were warned about bamboo cutting our calves. So this was all I had. And that was meant to be after the last checkpoint. As it actually happened, when we got to the last checkpoint, my time check from the penultimate checkpoint was that I was 8 minutes ahead of the guy in third place. And I made the decision not to stop and put these on, instead to push on and risk getting cut up calves. And as it was, that last section was no worse than any other part. So my calves were still cut up from the whole race, but not worth it. So again, another piece of kit I didn't use. So there you have it. There's nutrition and gear for a 50k ultramarathon. In this case, 61.5k, because I took a couple of wrong turns and increased from the 58.5k. But I think anything in that range from 50 to 70, I would take something very similar. This was for Thailand and tropical areas and moving fairly slowly. But you wouldn't need much different. So please do add some comments. Let me know what you take, what bits of gear work really, really well for you. I'd love to hear your reviews. Was there anything that I couldn't have taken? Not really. I think the only bit of gear that I took that was not mandatory and I didn't use were the compression socks. I could have taken some sunglasses for the morning part. We ended up with some strong sun. Could have taken a hat for that, but I hate running in a hat. So that was unlikely to be used. And it didn't seem worthwhile taking sunglasses through the whole night just for an hour in the morning. So I think I made the right decisions there. All in all, I was really happy with the gear choices I took. The shoes worked amazingly. The bag was awesome. I can't fault any of my gear apart from my head torch choice, which I held up my hands. That was entirely my fault. So, like I said, please let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and then you'll see what challenges are coming up next. There is something even bigger and more awesome in the pipeline that I can't wait to share with you. So please hit like, please hit subscribe, and please join the conversation in the comments. Can't wait to hear from you, and I'll see you in my next video.